Why do Jamaicans drive on the left side of the road? Driving on the left side of the road for the first time can be intimidating. If you're visiting Jamaica anytime soon and plan to drive, then this will certainly be the case. But anyone can get the hang of it with a little practice. But before you hit the road, there are a few key differences and the tips that I have to share with you. Welcome back to Elite Jamaica, the place you come to learn about Jamaica and Jamaicans. If it's your first time joining me here, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking that red subscribe button, and do remember to turn on notifications by clicking that bell icon so you never miss any of my updates. So let's take a look at basic driving in Jamaica. Firstly, most cars in Jamaica are right-hand drive. If you rent a car in Jamaica, then it will almost definitely be a right-hand drive vehicle. But don't waste time trying to find a left-hand drive vehicle. In fact, in countries where they drive on the left side of the road, they drive right-hand drive vehicles because it's better suited. Just take note of a few things that you will have to get used to. The wiper blades and turning indicators are on the opposite sides. Just remember that the indicator stock is always pointed towards the driver's door. The gear must be operated with the other hand, so if you learn to drive a manual, then you probably learn to do it with just one hand, so it might be difficult to start changing gears with your left hand. Pick a car you're comfortable with. Be sure to pick a car that you might be familiar with, or that is easy to use. When you do get the car, drive it around for a little and get a feel of the vehicle. If you're not familiar with the car at all before, then you can do some research online before so you are confident when you sit in the front seat for the first time. Let someone else drive first. It is a very good idea to let someone else familiar with Jamaican roads drive you around for a bit and give you some tips. This will allow you to see how drivers and pedestrians on the road behave prior to sitting in the driver's seat. Be careful when pulling out of car parks and turning. I've seen persons make the mistake before. They think they get the hang of driving on the left side of the road, when all of a sudden they turn into the right lane. You must turn into the left lane now, which means crossing traffic at an intersection when making a right turn, as shown in the image. In Jamaica, you drive defensively. This applies not just to when driving on the opposite side of the road, but is extremely important when driving in an unfamiliar country for the first time. This means driving slowly and staying aware. Don't allow anyone on the road to push you around no matter how much they toot their horns. So drive slow and overly cautious. Often local culture and customs influence road behavior more than the law itself. This leads to speeding and other unlawful behaviors on the road in some areas. Then you learn your route. If you're traveling from Kingston to Ocho Rios, for example, it is good to check the routes before. This can easily be done on Google Maps. However, when Google Maps show you the available routes for a trip, it is recommended to then ask locals for a second opinion. Some routes are not so friendly to newcomers. For example, there's the Highway 2000 route and there's a scenic route which is not recommended for internationals because of the difficult terrain. Google often recommends routes in Jamaica that are not the most travel friendly. This is why a second opinion is important. When you have selected the route, then get to know as much about it as possible before leaving. This will make your journey much easier. Avoid distractions. This is always a must when driving, but when driving on the left side of the road for the first time requires extra attention. This means no texting and driving, answering calls, looking too much at the scenery, and for the first time, you might want to avoid listening to the radio. Bring a friend. Having someone with you to help you with directions, caution, and help you feel comfortable in general is a big plus when driving in an unfamiliar setting. So why drive on the left side of the road in Jamaica? Most of the world drives on the right side of the road, but around 76 countries and territories use left-hand traffic. The practice is believed to date back to ancient Rome. Romans steered their carts and chariots with the left hand to free up the right so they could use weapons to defend against enemy attacks. This carried over into medieval Europe, and in 1773, the British government passed measures to make left-hand traffic the law, but post-revolution France favored the right. Napoleon was left-handed, and riding on the right proved to be an intimidating military tactic. Britain and France brought their driving styles to their respective colonies. That's why many former British territories are among the few modern left-hand traffic countries. In the US, right-hand traffic goes back to the 18th century. Freight wagons were pulled by teams of 8 horses, and the drivers rode on the left rear horse, using their right hand to more easily control the team. Traffic shifted to the right so drivers could easily avoid collisions. Eventually, with the rise of automobile and increase in global traffic, many countries switched to the right to fit in with its neighbors, including Samoa, which just got switched from the left in 2009. So back to Jamaica, and now we take a look at the new Jamaica Traffic Act. The Act does not contain all that many new laws. What is significantly different is the scale of the fines and penalties that are to be levied for infractions and the increased burden placed on owners of vehicles, such as distinct from and in addition to actual drivers who do not comply with the law. In other areas, the new law broadens, extends, and serves to tighten up on existing regulations. For example, the current requirement is for the driver to be held liable if the passenger rides in the front seat without wearing a seatbelt. Under the new law, it is stated that the driver of a motor vehicle shall cause every passenger who is being conveyed in the vehicle to wear a seatbelt. This also includes passengers in the back seat of the vehicle. The driver of the vehicle who does not ensure that the passenger or passengers are wearing seatbelts or that a child being carried wears a child restraint system is subject to an automatic fine of $25,000. Similarly, an important variation of the new law relates to having your driver's license available for presentation. Under the existing practice, drivers are given up to 3 days to produce their driver's license at the nearest police station if they do not have it with them when accosted by the police. However, under the revised law, a driver will face prosecution and a fine if he or she is unable to present a license or permit on the spot. Failure to produce a permit or driver's license for examination by a constable in accordance with the Act, $10,000. What is new in the law then, you might ask? One completely new provision outlaws the use of handheld devices when driving. The law reads as follows. A person shall not drive or operate a vehicle on a road while using an electronic communication device, like a cell phone, whether holding in one hand or both hands or with any part of the body or otherwise, unless the electronic communication device is attached to them or is a part of the fixture on the vehicle and remains affixed while being used or operated, or is especially adapted or designed to be affixed to the person of the driver or operator as a hands-free device and issued to enable the driver or operator to use or operate the electronic communication device without holding it. Jamaicans who live overseas or those from home who travel to the US, Canada, and the UK should have no problem adapting to this requirement, as this particular rule exists and is strictly enforced in those countries. In many respects, virtually all the so-called new rules are simply bringing Jamaican road use laws and practices in line with those that exist in more developed countries and with which our visitors shave to comply on a daily basis. A new element in the law, which has been the subject of some controversy and even protests on the part of owners of taxis, is the provision that the owner of a vehicle can be held responsible in cases where it is being driven by someone else and is an offense captured electronically. This will come as no surprise for Jamaicans living in foreign, as in many countries, vehicle owners receive tickets in the mail when their vehicle is captured on camera with the driver committing an offense. The reason why the burden is on the vehicle owner is that the camera only captures and identifies the vehicle. It therefore follows that only the documented owner can be pursued and not the actual individual who may have been driving the vehicle. Awareness of owner responsibility and liability is especially important for those Jamaicans who live abroad, but own a car or cars which they leave out with relatives or friends to be used when they visit, but which is also used when they are not in Jamaica. The new law, while penalizing the persons who commit infractions while driving a vehicle, also places the burden of compliance with the law on owners. It will become the owner's responsibility to ensure that his or her vehicle is properly insured, licensed, and being driven for the purpose of which it is licensed, but also to ensure that the person to whom they have entrusted the vehicle is properly licensed and has no unpaid tickets in his or her own name. Visiting Jamaicans should also be cautious when entering informal arrangement to rent vehicles to ensure that the vehicle is in compliance with the law in respect of the road fitness, insurance, registration, and license fees. Given the marked levels of indiscipline among drivers on our roads, the proposed new laws have been generally welcomed by Jamaicans as reflected in their broad bipartisan support that has been given to the Act through all its legislative stages. While most drivers agree that FTA fines have the potential to encourage compliance with the law, the overwhelming concern is the level of new fines. Drivers will have to dig deep in their pockets to pay some of these fines, or otherwise face the prospect of serving jail time, as they can now be imprisoned for many offenses where under the existing law only a fine was applicable. Jail time can range from a low of 15 days to a high of 30 days depending on the severity of the offense. Here is a sample of the infractions and relating fines. Driving without a license, $40,000. Careless driving causing collision, $25,000. Exceeding the speed limit, 33 to 49 km per hour, $30,000. Exceeding the speed limit, 50 km per hour, $45,000. Exceeding the speed limit in a construction zone, $10,000. Exceeding limit in school safety zone, $10,000 to $30,000. Driving without motor vehicle insurance, $20,000. Failing to obey red or stop sign, $24,000. Failing to obey other signs or lights, $16,000. Driving a motor vehicle without being licensed, $10,000. Driving a motor vehicle without it being registered, $10,000. Failing to comply with the breath alcohol concentration limit, $30,000. Employing or permitting a person to drive a motor vehicle without appropriate driver's license, $40,000. Providing false or misleading information on an application, $50,000. Careless driving with no collision, $11,000. I better me walk, I swear upon Selassie Big Toe. Thank you for joining me again, guys. I really do hope you found this video informative. If so, please give it a big thumbs up. And remember to subscribe to Elite Jamaica by clicking that red subscribe button. And do remember to turn on notifications by clicking that bell icon so you will always receive my updates. I am Alex. Until next time, bless.
I'm on the mission. A mission. Today's the day. Start your ignition. Let's take it away.